Tokyo Ghoul Rude, Episode 6. As always, I'm loving Rude, but I have some qualms with this episode, which kind of trouble me with the progression of the series as a whole. Because this episode was good, don't get me wrong, it was good. I love the development for characters across the board, but not enough development and insight into what's going on with Kaneki and some, organizational issues, which I'll get into later. But it's big. The Kaneki stuff is big. So, let's just dive into it. I want to start off with Juzo, my boy fucking Juzo, because we get that backstory in this episode. I told you guys last week. The Juzo backstory goes miles before, because you see before he was actually taken in to the orphanage with Kuro and Shiro and, was raised up to be a ghoul investigator, he was in the custody of this fiendish ghoul, Big Mado, who had him as her slave, pet, human. Straight up. Involved in the gourmet club that you saw Tsukiyama running in Season 1. She was having him go up against fiendish ghouls, all kinds of characters, making him massacre human beings, doing all kinds of fucked up shit to him, torturing him, and the way that the scene cut away, and the censorship during, the actual event where he's slaying this dude, kind of take away from the impact. Overall, I like the way that it was done in terms of this flashback and the scenes oriented with Shinohara, but, especially cutting away from that scene, it takes me back to how the anime did the Yamori torture, in that, people might not understand exactly what she did to the man. Some people might, it can be inferred from what they give you, mind you, but some people might not see it. When she took the pliers to the homie Juzo, when she took out those pliers and it cut away, they should have at least shown a frame of anguish on Juzo's face or something, because she fucked with the boy's gems. She fucked with him down south. She destroyed him. She castrated him. And that is why Juzo is so androgynous in his character at this point in time when he was first introduced and everybody's kind of wondering that. That explains that, right? But the amount of psychological and physical torture she put Juzo through as her slave, as you see that, made him into the misanthropic, disassociated, warped and twisted persona that he has today. Broke him as a human being. And I love the way they oriented with the scenes with, Juzo kind of drawing with the cat and the giraffe, the significance of it, going back to Shinohara, finding him in this gourmet club with Big Madam and everything and raiding it, and taking Juzo into the orphanage, kind of tying everything together with the Kuro and Shiro backstory to find out how the Juzo we see before us was molded. And Shinohara is the one person who has truly shown compassion and cared for Juzo in his life. And you can slowly start to see that building and working in Juzo and influencing him. And I just love the way that they're doing that kind of progression in Juzo's development. The flashback could have been a little bit more explicit with some things, but overall it was good. The censorship, like the fucking whole black screen bar censorship type deal when he's going and stabbing dude, that kind of, but or it's minor complaints, but as long as people are aware that she fucking castrated Juzo. Juzo does not have testicles at this point, okay? I just want to make that clear. The man's testosterone has stopped. Just want to make that clear, okay? Moving on, throughout the episode, we get a lot of development for some side characters. We see everybody at Anteiku, and I like the way that they're showing little scenes with Irimi and, the devil ape, definitely insinuating what's to come. And then Roma, as I see Roma fucking around there, dude, and Nishiki just blowing up on her, I just have a smile on my face the whole time, like, bruh. But that's neither here nor there. Now, Amon and Akira is something that's really big with this episode, and building up, their relationship and developing it. And you find out as Akira gets drunk as fuck how she really feels about Amon, and how, she kind of blamed him for her father Mado's death and everything like that. And you see her you see them start to bond. You see her trying to turn to him for comfort, and him, beating himself up. There's a great string of comedy in this episode throughout with Amon, with Takizawa and everything like that, where he's like, dude, when Hoji calls him on the phone, and he's like, what, who is it, you fucking bastard? I'm in the middle of something. And Hoji's just like, it's the bastard. you fucked up the report. You better come back in now. I was just like dying. I love that scene, and seeing them bring in these manga scenes, and you know, in the new route, it's doing really well. It's doing really well to develop these characters just the same and along the same path for the most part. But, you know, specifically with Amon, where he's just flustered and he realizes, you know, how stupid he's been in his association with Akira, and how much, you know, he really truly blames himself as he's been beating himself up over Mado's death, and seeing them both progress and turn to one another and start to form a relationship. Fucking Akira X Amon, dude. Fucking love that shit. So I like that, but seeing him do the fucking push-ups, dude. Oh man, dude, the comedy throughout this episode was nice in there, and I just like the progression. But turning to Kaneki and the scenes where you see him just alone in silence, losing control. We get they do go back and explain Kakuja a bit more, which I do like how they did that. I like how Shinohara was like, he's probably a half Kakuja, everything like that. But they're not showing enough insight into how Kaneki came to this state. And I wonder if that's something that they'll get into. They're really, I like the disassociation from Kaneki and kind of putting him in the background for a little bit to build up the air of him and Aogiri for the first 3 episodes or so. But now it's pressing on a little too much. The internal monologues of Kaneki and the things that he has gone through and goes through at this point in time are very relevant and are key to his transformation. And they really need to expose that. They really need to expose how he's become a Kakuja. And I'm just going to have to hold my breath and hope that they do that, honestly. That I have to hold my breath and hope that they, you know, because Shinohara explains it's done through cannibalism. That's how you become a Kakuja. They got to go into Kai's progression. And they also have to go into, you know, what separates him as a Kakuja and why he can't control it. Because his monologues do a great deal to justify that, and him grappling with the different personas inside him and trying to maintain his humanity, trying to, you know, suppress urges of various kinds, the kakuja insanity that impedes upon his mind. And they need to go into that a bit more in depth if they really want Route A to come together and work, regardless of how it's going to end and how the outcome is that they want to go for. So I'm hoping that Kaneki gets a little bit more exposition, more screen time, more dialogue, and, you know, exposition into what's going on in his mind as he's losing control. Like, the scenes are impactful to see him losing control and to see him in pain and trying to suppress the kakuja within him, but they got to go into a bit more depth there. So hopefully they do that going forward. But overall, in terms of everybody else, you know, we got to see a little bit of Toka in this episode. Hide, I'm going to say it right now. You think Hide bumped into Amon on accident? Please, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. Hide doesn't fucking know. Hide's a deductive genius. He just goes in, wants information, wants to see what Amon is doing in regard to Kaneki, pretends to dock into him so he can see the files that he's working on right now. Enough said. Got to see a little bit of Toka and how she's coping with the, you know, the constant rumors about eye patch and everything like that. And overall, just great development for Juzo, for, you know, some of the side characters. Just keeping Anteiku relevant is necessary as well, and I like how they cut away to the scenes of what's going on with Hinami, everyone in Anteiku, Nishiki, and everything like that. And at the end of the episode, you see the CCG, you know, Washu declaring straight up war on Aogiri, as they've identified that Ao is the head of Aogiri. And I'm interested to see how the story continues to progress. I really am. As a manga reader, it intrigues me. I'm really enjoying it. The ending animation this week, kind of weird with the television screen and having, like, you know, Tsukiyama and Banjo and Hinami watching Kaneki, you know, go fucking kakuja and go crazy. Kind of weird, very symbolic, and, you know, the juxtaposition of smiling Kaneki with black hair to how he is now breaking down with the white hair and everything like that. I like the imagery of the ending, but a weird ending. The artwork's always beautiful. She did go in. And the music this episode, once again, especially the song that plays during the scenes with Amon and Akira, really builds up the air and, you know, pushes their relationship and everything that's going on there. So let me know your thoughts on this episode of Route A. I enjoyed it overall. I had a few qualms with how they kind of tiptoed around the Juzo backstory and with, you know, continuing the disassociation with Kaneki. We need to get over that hump right now because it's necessary to get insight into Kaneki's mind. Juzo censorship is not that big a deal for me. It's not that big a deal. So let me know your thoughts. That's pretty much it. Is there anything else I wanted to mention about this episode? No, that's it. I'm out. Peace.